Man, oh man, Jeremy Harvey, that theme right there, we haven't heard that one in a while. That's the Asia Pacific theme. I absolutely love that one. I always think of the 747-200 we did of the Felice Pan Am when we flew that theme. Man, I love that theme. You know, we're up in the Bay Area right now. There's a heavy Asian influence up in this part of California, so I figured it'd be appropriate. Mix it up with the Asia Countdown. Absolutely love that one. Thank you, Jeremy Harvey. All right, y'all, here we are, round two, hoping it doesn't crash. We got three beautiful Piston Dukes on the ramp, ready to go on a little adventure this afternoon. This one over here is actually a turbine Duke, but for model matching purposes, it's showing up as a Piston just because I don't have the turbine Duke VMR or whatever for it yet. So we're all showing as Piston Dukes, but that is a turbine Duke back there. Now, I want to make one thing clear before we get going, because I'm going to get a lot of questions on this. This airplane is not officially supported in 2024, so I'm breaking my only rule. However, I've done 3 test flights, talked to other people. Knock on wood, things have been smooth, running good. There's just a few little minor visual things I've noticed the difference of that I'll point out to you. But what I did is I actually rebought this airplane. So I was given the Dukes from Black Square to pre-alpha and all that stuff. It's on my old PC. I don't have that code. So what I did, complete transparency, so know how I got it working, is I literally purchased this this morning, just the Piston Duke, and I ran the installer, and it installed the 2020, and then all I did is took it from the 2020 community folder and dropped it into 2024. So far, knock on wood, things are good. I'm excited for this one. I'm over the jets, man. Let's just fly Pistons. Let's fly real airplanes. I've got my old Supercharger video that we're going to explain. If you want to go over that, we'll watch that. I have that in detail. We can look at that in cruise. But it should be a nice little flight. We're going up to an airport we've never been to on stream. This is Oscar 16 Garberville. It's a sweet little spot. We'll pick up Alicia down there and then up to Eureka, California, EKA. So we are going to be flying the Grand Duke. The normal Duke, the livery that I wanted is, it's a little glitched out on it. So I'm rocking a custom livery. Let's go ahead and walk up to our Duke. This is the Grand Duke. This livery was from Whiskey Throttle, my Texas-themed B60 Duke, which I absolutely love this thing. We'll have to pull the plugs and everything. Now, I'm hoping that eventually when they get this fully supported, we'll be able to pull these plugs and stuff on the actual walk around. But look at the attention to detail. Look at the little flags there, so you know you have the engine plug in, little Texas flag. And this is one of my silly, but one of my favorite parts of this custom livery is the custom chocks. Gotta love it. So there's we'll do a little pre-flight here. This is the Grand Duke. We got vortex generators. We got winglets out here. We got absolutely juicy sounds with this. Let's go ahead and just hop right in and get things loaded up and ready to go. Al W., welcome aboard, my friend. Welcome aboard. Hope you are ready for this one. The route is pinned up at the top of the chat if y'all are curious about that. So let's get this thing fired up and on our way, shall we? So we'll go ahead and remove the control lock. We'll move the control stop down there as well. Let's go ahead and pull you, well, we'll leave you up. Let's make sure we are on. Yep, fuel selectors are in the on position. Let's pull out our GPS here today. How much fuel we need to take on this one? We're going to take through fuel, so why don't we take 50 gallons a side? 50 gallons a side, that gives us a 550-mile range, so we don't have to gas up. We'll just pick up additional passengers. I'm 210. Let's say we got another 200-pounder up front, and passenger 1, passenger 2. Oh, you know what? How do I empty those? I mean to do that. You just scroll down. Oh, yeah, cool. Okay, so we'll just scroll down to empty. Let's do this. We'll go relatively light out of here. We'll take 2 people, and then we'll pick up our third packs up there at Garberville Municipal. So I absolutely miss this plane. This airplane, the title of this stream is like, I was wrong when I said the 414 is the best in 2024, because if this goes off without a hitch, then this has to be the best. I actually couldn't even start my engine because it was cold soaked and I didn't have enough prime, and it's just the details Let me give you an example real quick, and we're going to fire up. The example of attention to detail on this, the start sounds will vary depending on, has the engine warm, is the engine cold, what's the prime situation like, what's your battery voltage like for start. It's no engine start. It's not like the same engine start on loop no matter what situation the airplane is. That's how detailed this aircraft is from Black Square. So it's just awesome. And flying it again, I'll show you the failures up here. Let's just make sure we got everything. We'll take 50 pounds up in the nose. How's our weight and everything? So right now we are 4275. Max is 7,000. We're looking good there. We'll go ahead and pull the pitot covers, the engine covers, and the wheel chocks. Let's go ahead and close the door. We'll close the cabin door. All right, those are all closed up. Beautiful. We are on Iveo Premium tonight, so we'll make sure we tune 22.8. Left engine conditions are all at 100%. You can even see, we're going to talk all about this in cruise because you can see all of everything that's going on in flight, which is cool. Electrical system, a cabin system, and of course failures. Right now I've got it on 2x real time, and I'm on mean time between failure mode. So scheduled mode is if you want to schedule failures and do training. This is one of my favorite things here about the Black Square is the MTBF. They have numbers here that are the typical failure times for these components, and it's simulated. So I've run it up to 2x. So it keeps you on your toes, but it's not necessarily every flight, right? So our failures are on, and I think we're ready to go. We're going to be rocking the load covers. That's what I want, cloud show up, and I just bound this because I want to see if this works. So we're rocking a 530 and a KX155B. We'll go ahead and get rid of that. I'm going to hide the yoke, and let's boot this puppy up. All right, let's get out of here. So we'll go ahead and get the battery switch on. We'll get the beacon on. We'll get the nav light on. Window is open, so we'll be able to clear prop out there. We're going to start with the avionics off. So to get this thing started, we're going to go full rich, full forward, left boost pump. Here it's training, get some fuel in there, and cut it back off. All right, boost pump off. Mixture, or I guess I could have just done the right mixture, is back down. We're going to crack the right throttle like so, and I'm going to turn up the sounds. And ready to go. Let's see. I'll make sure the sounds are up here. Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and right, left, both. Clear prop. Run that up to about 1,000 RPM. And I'm just going to bring the mixture back a little bit. Now let me see. I guess we should get a little cam action on here, right? We like to have a little bit of little cam action. Let's give you guys the throttles up there, and let's show you the force feedback yoke like so. Beautiful. All right, so she's up and running. That's good. And now let's do the same thing to the left. We got to prime it. So left fuel boost on, and what I'm looking for is the fuel flow. So we're going to go up forward. 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and kill it. Crack the throttle. Boost pump off. I've matched my throttle position, so it should roughly be about 1,000 RPM. Right, left, both, and hang on. Didn't grind the starter. That's good. Just bring that mixture back a little bit. Just get it off the full rich. Sitting at 1,000 RPM. Let's go ahead. Generator 1, generator 2, master avionics, inverter to main. I'm going to go ahead and open both cowl flaps full open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll go ahead and close this window. Now what's interesting about the Duke is there's no visual position for the cowl flaps. It's all done on seconds. Somebody remind me what the seconds are for full open, full close. I think it might be more than that, like 12 or 14 seconds. You can see here, actually I'm going to close them back up. We are sitting on two very cold engines, so let's go ahead and close them full so you can hear it barely. There we go. I heard it phase out. So I have fully closed cowl flaps. All right, so we're fully closed up. That'll help if the engine's warmed up. We are completely cold. We're gonna get the GPS lined up. Let's come over here. I'm gonna hide this yoke momentarily. We don't need any vent blower. Vent blower needs to be off for takeoff. Pressurization, we're gonna be going up to 12,500. So we'll set 12.5. We'll pressurize just slightly there at 2,000 feet. We'll do a magic barrel ref update. We'll set our altitude of 12,500. 12,000. 2, 3, 4, 5. I love how it works just flawlessly with the Bravo.
Southwest 2384.
22.8 is up.
B and 5, you have a A330-900 and a holding pattern above you.
Don't need the flight director. We are wrecked there. That looks good. Just waiting for our GPS to load in, and then we will start our way out of here. Gotta let the engines warm up anyway. If you want to cheat, the tablet will show their position. Well, yeah, J-Foot, but nobody wants to cheat. Nobody wants to cheat. The checklists in this plane are so complete, you can use them as a tool list and just fly fine. Yep. All right. Dylan W., if you want more information on flying pistons and stuff, stick around for this stream, man. I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to like this stream here. It's probably going to kick me out, but we're going to start K Half Moon Bay. We'll enter that. After Half Moon Bay, we are going... Nope, yeah, see, I know we'll do that. All right. Speaking of Half Moon, we're going to Point Reyes, then ENI. So cursor, PYE for Point Reyes. Answer that. After Point Reyes, we're going to Mendocino, VOR, ENI. Southwest USA, confirmed. After Mendocino, we're actually stopping at our first destination, which is Oscar 16. That's Garberville, enter. After Oscar 16, we're going to track the Fortuna VOR. It's a very short flight after that. We'll load up the Fortuna VOR just in case. And, oh. Big wheel. After Fortuna, we're going to put in our final destination of Kilo Echo Alpha. All right, so our flight plan is set up. We'll go nav page 1. We'll make sure we're on GPS CDI. Direct track is 320. 320 is set. That looks good. And anybody see a windsock around here? Radio check 22.8. Ooh, we got a fourth Duke joining the party. I got nobody on 22.8. Let me try that again. 122.8 radio check.
Sounds good. 5x5.
All right, cool. Now, what I've done is I've deleted my Navigraph app. Runway 30 and runway 12. It's recommending runway 30. Half Moon Bay traffic, November 357 Bravo Sierra taxi, runway 30. We're just gonna use the old school charts here. Runway 30 for departure, so we gotta find our way out there. Let's go ahead and release the brakes, which, did I bind it? I normally have it bound, I don't have it bound, I don't believe. Where's the parking brake? Parking brake right in front of my face. This is black square. This is black square. All right, we're going to do a nice little run up too when we get out here. So it is differential braking and differential braking only for this. Caster steering maybe, but it doesn't appear to be. Yeah, just gonna have to kind of work with the brakes. Yeah, it's not free castering though, so maybe there is a little bit of an issue with the rudder. That's got to be a Microsoft thing, because we've seen that so many different times. We'll make it work. The rudder should be doing something there. I don't see why it's not. I'm using mostly just differential braking. We'll survive. But yeah, it is kind of annoying. This is the same thing I had with the A300 Premium, so it's not like it's a black square problem. Like, I think this sim is suffering from ground nose steering something. Alright, we got our engines warmed up, so let's go ahead and as we taxi down, we're going to open our cow flaps half. So we'll do 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. It's good enough. Monitoring those cylinder head temps. I gotta find 30 out here. I think it's this turn. Yeah, this turn right here. That'll be runway 30. So we got to keep our speed up for differential braking. So I'm kind of taxiing like a crazy banshee here, but. Steering deferred. Got too slow. Nope, tiller doesn't work, vodka. I wonder if it has something to do, though. I wonder if it has something to do with the nose wheel steering being bound. Because I think my tiller is still bound. The tiller is not active because I can try to move it with the tiller and that doesn't work, but it is bound. I wonder if that's like creating an issue. That's alright, we're still here. Alright, we're gonna hold short 30. Your tiller works? Yeah, because you're in the fake sim. Alright, brakes are set. We made it here, no problem. We can taxi with differential braking. This airplane is well worth. If that's the only thing that goes wrong with this stream, I will smile all the way back to my house. Let's go ahead and turn some panel lights on in here just a little bit. It's getting kind of dark. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do an engine run up. Our engines are nice and warm. Let me just go full open now. Press tiller disconnect. Oh. You know, I'll try that. I just pressed it. I'll try it when we taxi on the runway now. Because I do have that bound, Douglas. You might be onto something. All right, let's do a quick little run-up. Doing the run-up in this airplane is a whole lot of fun. It's so well modeled. So I'm going to bring up my engines. First, we're going to go full rich, full. Let's run it up to about 1,800 RPM. All right, 1,800 RPM. Let's go ahead and do 2 prop cycles with each engine. Try to catch it. Don't try to let it... These engines, you try not to let that drop down below 1,000 RPM if you can. We're just moving oil in the hub is what we're trying to accomplish here. Yeah. A little too slow on that. All right, so we got... Those are synced up nicely. Let's go ahead and do a mag check. So we're looking for RPM drop. We'll do them both at the same time. Left mag. There's our drop. Back to both. And right mag. Back to both. We're going to test for windshield de-ice volts. Check. We're going to check suction pressure for 1 cycle de-ice. Instrument air moved. Boots inflating out on the wing. That checks. We got to check. Uh-oh, I just reset my view. We got to check the voltage. Generator load for our pitos. So I'm going to be flipping switches. Check for generator loads. Pitot left. There's a jump. Stall heats. Check. Left prop. Right prop. Beautiful. And you can do fuel vents as well. That's how we verify that those instruments or those systems are indeed working. Instrument air is in the green. Pressurization is set. Engine run up complete. Go ahead and bring those engines back down to 1,000 RPM. Nice and smooth. Setting at 1,000 RPM. Keep my plugs nice and clean. I'm going to bring those mixtures back just past in the Duke. I like to bring them. You got full rich. That's actually a little bit too far. Right about there. About halfway is a good spot, just on the ground here. We're literally at sea level. So, all right, are y'all ready? Let's go ahead and blast off and start our way to Point Reyes, first waypoint. Half Moon Bay traffic, number 357 Bravo Sierra, departing runway 30 out to the north, Half Moon Bay. All right, we're going to light them up. We'll go ahead and get our landing, right landing. Wing ice lights are all on. Electronic pitch trim, that's a big one. Make sure you turn that on.
Trim checks. South Whiskey, we're going to follow that Duke.
Blower is off. Okay, you don't want to be running the air conditioning for takeoff.
Bay, November 200, Echo Romeo will be following that Duke behind him about 30 foot. And Avenue Bay,
yeah, I'm trying to steer with. That I thought maybe that tiller disconnect would do something, but it didn't. It was a good thought, though. Come on, baby. It's really hard to feather my brake. It's good enough. All right. Very powerful, very expensive engines. Going full. Run them up. Nice and easy. Listen to those turbo spool. Props up to the governor. And now nice and easy, advance that manifold pressure all the way up. Power is set, airspeed's alive, 80 knots. Coming through 90, nice easy rotation. Lift sauce nicely. Ooh, a little aggressive there, positive rate, gear up. Pitching for blue line, 110. Pitching for blue line.
Copy, traffic. Turbocharger, we're at bottom to
Should have set my heading line there a little better.
Avenue Bay, turn Bay, 175 Pop Delta departing for going 30 to them.
All right, we're through 1,000 feet. We'll start lowering that nose. Bring in a nice climb power setting. Let's go about 38. Get the RPM off the governor. And sink the prop. Wonderful. Props are synced. Center up our heading bug. Looking at our after takeoff, so we can go ahead and get the auto heats on, warm it up just a little bit. We're going to do pressurization airs coming out. Cabin is already climbing briefly. That looks good. We'll go ahead and get the landing lights off, taxi light off, wing lights off. Parked 91, so we can do our own light stuff. I'm going to turn the sim down so I can hear myself. I hope you guys enjoyed the sounds of those takeoff. Those freaking Lycoming takeoff there was absolutely juiced. We're going to be passing just past Golden Gate Bridge, actually. Matter of fact, let's do a little detour to the right. Fly our own heading here. Let's do about 350 on the heading. Climbing out 140 on the speed. We're looking good. Kappa Flyer, this is the Brunner CLS yoke, the force feedback yoke. Ski, thank you for the $10 super chat, my friend. Appreciate you. Duke it is, man. Duke it is. And there's a lot we're going to talk about this airplane here once we get going up into cruise. We're going to rock it up to about 12.5. Take a look at my engine instruments. Everything is in the green. Cylinder head temps are looking good. Wonderful. We're going through 4,000. Let's crack that mixture back just a little bit. Leaning out just a tad. We had a full discussion about that yesterday. We're going to bust the Bravo. Nobody's online. What's the Bravo shelf here, Joe? Do I need to be at like 5.5? Probably should check the sky vector. I could level off early here. But we want to get a tour of the Bay Area here. Fly heading about 360. Only thing that would change for this plane, be perfect at visibility out the front. Yeah, I know, John. The visibility is a little bit restrictive in this aircraft, but that's what you get. for an airplane that's going to go up to 25,000 feet and fly, you know, 200 plus knot ground speed. Matter of fact, we can actually I'm going to close those cow flaps just a little bit. Get rid of some drag. Oh, it's at 4,000? Yeah, we blasted that Bravo then. All right. Already blasted that. There's San Fran. We're real weather, forward expedited time. Brad Ward, thank you so much, man, for the month of support. V1 making my PPL written sound studying impossible this week. That's the goal, my man. Make your written impossible. Nah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right, taking a look at my cabin temp. We're 69 degrees. We can increase that airflow for the pressurization air just a tad. Crack that. Vent blowers on low. We're auto heat. Man, we gotta keep a nice cabin. And this airplane is even better hand flown. Like, I'm trimmed out now. I mean, it's like, it's a Beechcraft. If you've flown a Beechcraft, whether you've flown a Bonanza, King Air, or Beech 99, or any Beechcraft product, the feel of the yoke in a Beechcraft is pretty unique, and it's just, I don't know how to explain it other than it feels stiff and solid. Phrasing. But it's very much how this airplane feels when you fly it. They've nailed that. Goes down to 2100. Oh yeah, we're definitely violating all the Bravo then. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and start a right turn slightly. Crank that mixture back just a tad. Monitoring those cylinder head temps, everything's in the green. There's SFO right there. Oh yeah, this will be a great view of the bay, Golden Gate Bridge. We're going to lock it in about heading 335. There's the Golden Gate Bridge right there. Beautiful. I would love to see these guys make a Beech D18. Oh, that would be something, man. Seneca 5 is a letterbox window design, but you get used to it. I do like the 414 design set. Yeah. I feel like the 414... Does the 414 have a little bit better visibility? I think it does, right? I mean, my seat is all the way up, technically, in this... You know, I don't know if I could get it any higher, even if it was a real airplane, but... All right, we're at 10,000 feet. San Fran off the right. Gosh, I love it. Got my instrument check ride coming up in February. Any tips for the check ride? Things you can think of that are important? No, I mean, I always tell everybody, man, just show up prepared. You've got nothing to worry about. If you're nervous, it means you probably aren't prepared. Go into your check ride ready to prove that you know what you need to know. And then what I always tell everybody on any check ride is like, look, don't let the airplane fly you. If at any moment in time and you're on that check ride and the airplane is doing something that you don't want it to be doing, fix it and fix it now. Don't sit around and wait for it to fix itself, or don't accept being off course a little bit. Fix it and fix it now. Sometimes, you know, I see students, they get on their check ride and they just kind of, they're slow to react, you know? It's like, why are you being slow to react? You know it's doing something that you don't want it to do, so fix it. All right, 1,000 feet to level off. I actually want to check the autopilot level here on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start engaging some modes. I'm going to go ahead and engage autopilot, heading, attitude, and the altitude is armed at 12.5. Let's see if she captures. Pitch reference command does work, Team Buck. I just saw that. That's awesome. We'll shallow it out here just a tad. So here comes 12.3. Now it's gone to alt mode. That's good. It is capturing beautifully. Leveled off beautifully at 12.5. We'll accelerate here, then we'll set our cruise power. Oh man, that looks beautiful down there. Alright, let's go ahead and start setting up a cruise power setting. Let's bring the manifold pressure back. Let's come back to 34. 25. And we're going to do our lean procedure that we like to lean for peak. Just reach a peak, so watch our ITTs there. Pull it back. Getting hotter, getting hotter, getting hotter, getting hotter. And it's peaked out. Run it back in rich. There we go, about 1500. Perfect. Engines are lean. Autopilot has went into heading alt hold mode. We'll go ahead and close the cowl flaps. We're just going to hold it for 7 seconds here or so. AFO, we've got the turbine. We do have the turbine Duke as well. Alright, cowl flaps should be closed. Oh, I never turned on my, we're not very sealed. We didn't turn on our transponder. 75-degree cabin, looking wonderful. Let's go ahead and make a left turn to the right, or a left turn to the left, right of the screen. Oh, look at that Duke in formation. Nice. Oh, that's awesome. That is pretty cool. Duke is oh yeah, really one. Have you landed an Airbus with just the rudder and trim? Yeah. Yeah, we do that during our EET training. I lost my wingman there in the turn. Let's go ahead and proceed direct to Mendocino. So we'll go ahead and select flight plan. Direct Mendocino, enter. And let's activate the nav function. So we are nav out. Wonderful. New course is 322. Perfect. Now this is a custom livery, so if you're wondering where to get the panel and stuff, this is a custom livery that only I have. Courtesy Whiskey Throttle. The Dukes 850 and PC-12 are my favorite turboprops. FSR 500 is bottom of the barrel. Yeah, Kappa Flyer. I was never a fan of the FSR 500 for multiple reasons. The biggest of which is I just don't want to fly a G1000 prop. Yeah, I'm with you, man. The Duke, does the turbine Duke work in 24 as well? I haven't attempted to get the turbine Duke to work, but I am pretty happy with my Piston Duke working. I am pretty happy with the Piston Duke working right now. The 850 works too, VFD? Might have to put that through some testing purposes. Alright, so you can see here we are tracking out. There's our destination, our first destination, Oscar 16. I'm going to put you away for now. Is there a way to pull up the like the... It doesn't tell me what the freak is. Frequencies. Half Moon Bay. I want to know what the VOR frequency is. Vortac 112.3. Awesome. Thank you. So let's back up our GPS nav. Let's go ahead and push cursor. We're going to hit 112.3. And then we'll make you active. Mendocino. Boom. We got nav 1. And we could also follow it on nav 2. No sense in wasting equipment. Set our needle up here. 3, 2, 1. Our panel lights off right now. We're looking fine as is. Alright. We are looking good. Go ahead and activate prop sync. Just going to smooth out this prop here. Wonderful. We don't need the weather radar. We'll just go ahead and turn you off. Squawk altitude, we should be squawking. Actually, we do need to squawk VFR because we're straight VFR now. So we'll squawk 1200. VFR is set. One other thing I like to do here is let's take a look at our outside air temp, which is, can't see, cabin temp is 76. OAT is right at like minus 10. So I'm going to take my outside air temp of minus 10 and my altitude at 12.5. We're going to line them up. We'll get a true airspeed here. So I'm going to scroll 12,500 right there. So we're outside air temp is just a negative. 12.5 is right there. I don't know if you can see that. But now I've got a true airspeed of 215 knots. And we're ground speed 203, so we're looking good. Ground speed of 203, modest power setting. And we're cooking with gas now. We are cooking with gas now. Would you guys recommend Microsoft 24 since the last update, or should I stick with 2020? Look, I will always recommend 24 because I'm having so much more fun with 24. It depends on what you're looking to get out of it, though. Depends on what you're looking to get out of it. I've had, over the last 2 days, I've had my fair share of issues with 2024. But it's still worth it, man. I love this sim. You guys know I'm quick to make things dead to me. You guys know that. But if I haven't given up yet on 24, I mean, come on. The Duke is literally the most amazing airplane that we have in the sim, I think. It's Fenix level of piston stuff. Let me show you what we got here. So we got our left engine. Now this is obviously I think going to be adjusted, like some of the reflections and stuff. Again, this is not a native 2024 aircraft yet. But let's take a look here at our engines. You can see our engines are running nice and warm. We've got the ambient air coming in. We've got being fed to the engine, and then our fuel line. So that's goes in here. The fuel gets atomized. The piston ignites it. Now we have exhaust air, and then we also have some air that gets rerouted through the turbocharger. It goes back through, and we're going to watch a little thing on this right here. You clear cylinders, clean plugs, repair the starter. You got left and right engine. You can see my right engine is actually, my right engine inboard is hot. My left engine inboard is hot. And that's because the way that the engines are mounted on the wings. That's crazy. It's actually got that properly simulated there. Electrical, full-blown electrical schematic. And right now we have the combustion heater running because it's cold outside. And this is what's incredible. This is what I love about the Piston Duke is, I mean, it is such a machine. Like, it's not like a Piper Navajo or Chieftain where you're kind of like, you can run your boots and your anti-ice and have enough power, maybe, kind of. It's got so much power for the size that it literally can handle everything no problem as a piston. So we're pressurizing the aircraft. I'm running 76-degree air inside a pressurized cabin. I've got plenty of juice to spare if I need to run heats or boots. This is kind of the layout of what's going on here. So we got the Janitrol combustion heater in here, blasting heat. The heater exhaust goes out this way. Cabin air is coming in, so we got the ram air coming in this way. Intercooler, pressure air shut off. AC compressor. Aircraft cabin altitude right now, we can see we're sitting at a 4.3 diff. Here's our pulse ox. 9, like, perfect. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible how detailed this aircraft is. So I'm excited. I think we have 14 minutes. I think that's just enough time. Do you guys want to watch? We'll go over it together. I have my video of the turbocharger explanation that I did, and I think it would be kind of fun to go over. Now, it might be kind of cringe because I did this a really long time ago, so forgive me for the old audio and stuff, but wrong one. Where's the right page? There it is. Just saw the title. Thank goodness the 414 is good, but the Duke is king. Yep. Duke is king. All right. So, I wonder if I should put it on the other side so we can still see that airplane out there. Can you guys still see that airplane in formation? Oh, he disappeared. All right. So we had some great discussion yesterday. I'm going to shrink this box up a little bit. We had some great discussion yesterday about turbochargers and superchargers, and maybe I should make this larger so you can see it a little bit better. Now, you can always go watch this video. Look, I haven't even liked my own video. I'm going to go ahead and like it. I made this video how many years ago? 3, 4, 5 years ago, probably? 5 years ago. All right, I was doing the Freight Dog Piston series, and this is a better view here. Let's do this side. Find a good view. All right, I guess that's good enough. So, did the Freight Dog Piston series. Oh, man. Look at this. That's cool. In formation. And I was going over a basic turbocharger operation. So, I think this is going to help a lot of you understand the complexity and the simplicity behind turbocharger systems. So just a basic understanding, and I think it's going to make you really enjoy flying pistons and supercharged, turbocharged pistons around when you kind of understand this stuff. Now, I did have a section. This flight's not long enough, but I did do a section on this video all about the constant speed propeller and why we change the blade angle, why we do run-ups, why we cycle the props. So if you want to see that a little bit more basic first, go to this video, watch it in its entirety, and you'll kind of pick up where we are here. So, assuming you understand the basics, which is something I should never do as an instructor, we're going to start getting into the turbocharger operation and why these airplanes are so powerful.
All right, so let's talk about turbochargers. Now that we understand a little bit about the propeller and how it's a constant speed propeller, which will allow us to get maximum performance from the blade, now we want to get maximum performance from our engine. This is what makes this Piper Chieftain and Navajo so powerful for being a piston-driven aircraft.
And Dukes and other piston
When you look at an
supercharged
aircraft that does not have a turbocharger or supercharger, we are limited to density, altitude being a major factor in engine performance. When you have an engine that's rated at 300 horsepower, that is based on a standard day at sea level. As the aircraft climbs, your horsepower will decrease because you're no longer getting the same density of air into the engine. As you climb up in altitude, the density of the air decreases. The molecules are further apart, decreasing the performance on the engine. So while yes, we can get additional performance by having a constant speed propeller, we're going to get max performance from our propeller blade, we're still going to be limited on our horsepower from the engine. We can have a constant speed propeller at 10,000 feet with an engine that's rated at 300 horsepower at sea level. You may only be getting about 150 horsepower at 10,000 feet. So it is a very significant decrease in horsepower with altitude, especially when you apply other factors such as non-standard temperature. We can have much higher temperatures, much higher density altitudes. You can really negatively affect the performance of a naturally aspirated engine. The best way to get maximum performance from your engine is to introduce a forced induction system.
Okay, so basically to sum up what I was saying there, I kind of sound like Tom Brady on his first broadcast announcement on this video. I apologize. But essentially what happens when you don't have a turbocharger or a supercharger, you're limited to your horsepower, period. Whatever your engine's rated for, you get that horsepower on the ground at a standard day, and that's it. As you climb up in altitude, or as density altitude increases due to environmental factors, that engine performance is decreasing, and there's nothing that you can do about it. We are limited, unless you have a turbocharger.
That leads us to turbochargers and superchargers. We're not going to talk about superchargers today because the Piper Navajo and Chieftain
and
are
Duke
equipped with what's known as a turbocharger. Piper Navajo and Chieftain are equipped with the J2B turbocharging system.
I want to say this is the
main difference
J2B2 on the
between
Duke.
turbocharger and the supercharger.
Can you confirm on
is
the
that the supercharger
chat?
will actually use the engine-driven power to spin a compressor, whereas the turbocharger will take exhaust air to spin a turbine, which will spin the compressor. So looking at our J2B
So hold on, that was important. I
turbocharger,
talked over myself.
this is not, keep in mind, this is not the exact turbocharger system that we have in the aircraft, but this is just so you can understand a little bit about what's going on. We know that we have to do one thing to get more horsepower at altitude, and that is to create the same level of density air which you would find on a standard day at sea level. So how do we do that? We have to compress the low density air at altitude into a higher density to make sure we get maximum performance from our engine. We do this by taking exhaust air that is held from the engine. We're going to take that air and we're going to route it one of two ways. We are either going to let some of it come out of a wastegate, or we're going to let some of it come through the exhaust manifold, pass through a turbine, and out the exhaust.
Anybody have a turbocharger on the car? You're familiar with the wastegate? If you ever race a car with a turbocharger, and that's that wastegate butterfly valve opening and releasing pressure. So we've got kind of a similar but not really situation going on here. We've got the air is coming in through the engine, and we're going to split it up. We're going to relieve some of that air if we do not need it to spin up our turbocharger. We're going to let it go out through the wastegate. But some of that air, if we do need it, is going to be routed up through a turbine, which is essentially, think of it as a disc with little pockets, and as the air, it's like a pinwheel, right? So as the pinwheel gets spun up, then that air that's spinning up the pinwheel, after it spins up the pinwheel, gets routed out the exhaust. So so that air goes out, but it's in the meantime, it is spinning up that turbine. It's spinning up that pinwheel. As that pinwheel is spinning, it's connected to a compressor, and that is going to start compressing the air. So we are taking the very exhaust from our engine and using it to pressurize an additional intake air.
Now we're going to come back to the wastegate here momentarily. So for the sake of the discussion, ignore what you see here. We take the exhaust air, we route it through its piping, we spin it through a turbine. As the exhaust spins up this turbine, we are then going to create a force up here that is transferred through the shaft to spin this compressor. As the compressor spins, it's also going to receive new air from the ambient air inlet. The air that's coming from the ambient air inlet is going to pass into this compressor and become very dense. The dense air, once it has been spun around in the compressor, is then going to be routed into what's called the upper deck.
All right, so essentially as we spin up the pinwheel, it's spinning up this compressor, and we have ambient air. We have an inlet up here that's bringing air in. This air is, coincidentally, it's actually kind of being sucked in. Not only is it being forced in, there could be, I don't want to get into ahead of ourselves here with forced induction and stuff, but essentially that air is being sucked down into the compressor, and then this is compressing that air, making it really nice and dense, and it shoots it out to the upper deck of the J2 compressor. Let me take a check, see where we are. Oh geez, we're 5 minutes from Mendocino. All right, we're looking good. Let's keep going here. If you want to see this video in full, it's on my channel. You can watch it in full screen. Do apologize for the cringe. It's been about 5 years since I did it, so.
Upper deck air is very important. Upper deck air is where we're going to get our power. The upper deck air is going to be routed one of three ways. Some of that upper deck air is going to go down to what's called the absolute pressure controller. For the sake of this discussion, let's ignore the absolute pressure controller and continue.
Sorry, I forgot your screen. Thank you.
Following the flow of upper deck air. The upper deck air will then pass through an overboost control valve. The overboost control valve is exactly what it sounds like. If there gets to be too much pressure in the upper deck, the overboost control valve will allow air to escape at a regulated rate, releasing pressure in the upper deck, avoiding a possible catastrophic failure. It is not a constant release of pressure in the overboost control valve. It is only once pressures reach a preset threshold that it will be released through the overboost control valve.
Mickey G, yeah, pretty much, dude. Pretty much. That's why that old girlfriend didn't work out, man. I was pretty cringe back then, wasn't I?
So the majority of the air, if not all of it, is going to continue coming from the compressor through the upper deck and pass through the throttle butterfly. Throttle butterfly is exactly what that implies. It is the position of your throttle. You open the throttle, this valve will become parallel, allowing maximum amount of upper deck air to pass through. If you close the throttle, the butterfly valve will close, minimizing the amount of upper deck air to pass through the throttle butterfly valve. The air that passes the throttle butterfly valve is then going to go past one more part in the upper deck.
Very important part.
We have the manifold pressure gauge. The manifold pressure gauge is going to read the amount of pressure that is passing through the upper deck.
So that's like, why do we set manifold pressure? When you get into these high-performance twins, you don't have just an RPM gauge. You have a manifold pressure gauge. And what you are setting is right here. So the manifold, in this case, the upper deck of the turbocharger, is where that manifold pressure is being read from. So if I increase manifold pressure, I'm demanding more upper deck condensed air to get into my engine to produce more power. So you're essentially increasing throttle, but technically you're increasing manifold. So we call them throttles, but you're really increasing and decreasing the manifold, manifold pressure, which is really moving that throttle butterfly valve. So you can kind of see how it all ties in.
You may be familiar with manifold pressure because when you look at our aircraft, we have something called a manifold pressure gauge. The manifold pressure gauge is measured in inches of mercury.
I think this Duke has the same
Once we
Lyco
know
links that the Chieftain has.
what manifold pressure was being read, the air is going to continue to pass down its piping into the induction part of the piston. This high density air is then going to be sucked in, mixed with fuel, compressed in the engine, ignited, and then extracted out the exhaust. The process will then begin to repeat itself. We have successfully taken low density air, routed it through the exhaust, spun up a turbine, which translated that power to spin a compressor, which then took ambient air, made that air dense, sent it through the upper deck, moderated by our throttle position, checked by our manifold pressure gauge, and forced back into the engine. So now our engine is being fed high density air at any altitude. Now, that is the basic flow, the exhaust air, and how we turn exhaust air into power to drive a compressor and give us density air in the engine. There's a couple other things we need to review. How do we know how much pressure we want to be able to have sent to the engine?
All right, so that's kind of, we'll continue on here in just a minute, but that's just kind of refresh so you can kind of hear it in one, strung out sentence instead of stuttering. But essentially, I remember recording this, and this was like when I didn't want to edit, so everything had to be a one take, and I didn't want to misspeak because having to edit stuff took a really long time for my computer to process, so I was trying to record everything in one take without stopping, so I was speaking really slowly to not misspeak. But essentially, that's the basics on how we get the compressed air back to the engine after we use the exhaust air to spin up our turbine, compress it, we check it. If we have excess pressure, that goes out the overboost controller, and then it goes into the engine. Now, that's just one part of it. There's a couple other parts we're going to get to about the absolute pressure controller, the wastegate actuator, etc. But let's go ahead and double check, make sure our airplane is doing airplane things here. I feel like we're in a nice steep bank. All right, that looks good. There's clear lake. Daggum, who's in formation right there? That's pretty dang good right there. Oh, man, look at that juice view out the wing. All right, we are 19 minutes from our destination. We're looking good. We're tracking outbound on the Mendocino VOR. You can see there's our manifold pressure gauge. All that looks absolutely wonderful. Let me see, left engine. So, yeah, it doesn't really show the supercharger here. But here's the wastegate. So it doesn't really show how the air is getting compressed. The turbocharger RPM though. So actually here it goes. So here's our ambient air, right? So you got the ambient air coming in. There we go, spinning up the turbine. There's the through the turbocharger and through the wastegate. In, spins up, recycles. Kind of an incomplete drawing as far as the supercharger is concerned, but you kind of get the idea. So we'll come back to that. Let's go ahead and finish the rest of talking about the CPC. A jet turbine basically didn't bother with the piston and just burnt fuel directly at the turbine part of the turbo. Pretty much, yeah. This would be an ideal BSL platform. Wingnut, good to see you, man. Yeah, definitely would. If we got the Dukes in career mode, it'd be game over. Absolutely. Absolutely. Alternatively, the excess pressure goes into your cylinder, which then exits the engine at Mach 3. Yeah. So you can see where overboosting, just think about it, like where overboosting would be a problem, right? Because what happens if you overboost the engine? If you get too much pressure in there, you're going to have problems. It's going to fight back against the timings and everything of the engine and the cylinders, and it's going to cause issues. So let's go ahead and continue this lesson. Yeah.
We don't just want to spin up maximum compression and overboost the engine. That would be inefficient and would cause extreme stress on the aircraft and cause catastrophic failure to the engine. So what happens is we have what's called wastegate control. So now let's talk about the wastegate and the butterfly valve. As air comes into the lower deck, some of that air is going to pass a wastegate or butterfly valve. The wastegate and wastegate actuator are directly linked with the absolute pressure controller. We don't want to have unlimited pressure being forced into our engine cylinder. If that would happen, we would obviously have engine failure on our engine. We don't want to feed it an unlimited amount of pressure. We have to regulate the amount of pressure we're sending to the engine. When I say pressure, I mean dense air that we want to be sent to the engine. So how do we regulate that?
Yeah, Josh, here.
That leads us to the wastegate butterfly valve. As you recall, we have air coming in through here from the exhaust, and we said it's going to go one of two ways. It is either going to go through the wastegate controller, or it is going to pass through the turbine and out the exhaust. The wastegate butterfly valve controls the amount of turbocharging power the engine will feel. The wastegate is spring-loaded to a fully open position. With the wastegate fully open, we're going to allow all of our air to pass through the wastegate butterfly valve and out of the back of the engine. This will occur without spooling up the turbine, or any residual air would be minimal and not creating induction. This air will then pass out, and we will operate just like a naturally aspirated engine.
You can hear that on the Duke. When you're on the ground at idle or 1,000 RPM, if you start to rev it up just a little bit, you're going to hear a or like just that high hissy of the engine start to spool. And what's happening, that's as you're increasing pressure, that wastegate is closing, and guess what? It's routing more air into that turbine, which is now spilling up that compressor. So that's that sound you hear on the ground when you're taxiing, because below, say, 1,000 RPM, you're essentially just a piston engine, okay? Because you're not spooling anything. But as soon as you start to increase that manifold, or it's kind of cool to think about it this way. When you increase throttle, or open the wastegate, or open the throttle butterfly valve, or you do all three of those same things at the same time, that's what's happening when you move the throttle lever. That air is now being routed to spool the turbine, and you can kind of hear it hiss up and spin up to speed. So that's that really cool sound on the ground when you're taxiing. You kind of rev it up a little bit.
Air comes in, passes through the exhaust, out the wastegate, and into the atmosphere. Now as the wastegate closes, we are then going to route less air out of the wastegate
Force Raptor.
and send it through the turbine. With the wastegate fully closed, we're going to get maximum turbocharging power, as all the exhaust air is going to be routed through the turbine and then out one of the exhaust tailpipes.
That's why we kind of do that sort of a two-step power up on takeoff. You don't just slam the throttles full forward. But you want a nice, easy transition because we're closing that wastegate. We're letting that air roll into the turbine. That's going to spool up that compressor, and now we're going to get the manifold pressure that we want from our engine. We're going to get the power that we're demanding. If you just rip that thing forward, it may not fail the first time you do it, but I guarantee you do that a couple times, you will cause damage to your engine in a real airplane, and you will do it in the Duke if you do that too fast. So that's kind of why you have that it's almost like a 3-stage power set when you're dealing with these, because you get it going, then you want to make sure you don't bounce the props off the governor, right? That always drove me nuts when students would just freaking throw it forward and the prop ring. Okay, so kind of get it up spooled, get the props up to the governor. Now, one smooth advancement all the way forward, demand full power.
Now that we know that the wastegate controls the amount of turbocharging power that we're going to give to the engine, we must understand how the wastegate butterfly valve is controlled. This can vary amongst turbochargers. For this discussion and simplicity, we're going to talk about the absolute pressure controller. The absolute pressure controller can be considered to be the brain of the turbocharger. The absolute pressure controller consists of several parts. We can have a series of bellows and oil. What happens in the absolute pressure controller is it will regulate how much oil will be returned to the engine oil sump and how much oil will be sent to the wastegate actuator.
We got to start down soon. Should we just bypass, go straight to Eureka, Vodka, or you want to stop down there? Let's see. We're at 24. When does this end? This ends at 29. So we got 5 minutes. We'll do it. I'm going to start bringing power back here slowly.
Let's look at the basic flow of oil through the turbocharger. Engine oil comes in through the engine oil pump, passes through the wastegate actuator, continues up through its piping, and meets the absolute pressure controller.
This is a real important part. I'm going to try to explain as we go through here. So basically, this turbocharger is pseudo-useless without the brain behind the operation, okay? The absolute pressure controller would be considered the brain. This is where we're really going to get the meat and potatoes of how this system is functioning in one fell swoop here.
If the absolute pressure controller closed, or the poppet valve is in a position that allows minimum oil, what will happen is that oil is going to be forced out, will come down through a series of piping and fed back into the wastegate actuator and increase pressure on the wastegate actuator. As the wastegate actuator moves in this diagram to the right, we're going to close the butterfly valve. Once the butterfly valve is closed, we know that we're going to be getting maximum turbocharging power.
Okay, so I highly recommend if you want to go back and watch this in full screen, do it, because this drawing here that I have doesn't include what I drew out, but basically I'm demonstrating how the oil pressure is regulating the wastegate actuator. And if you don't know what a poppet valve is, just do a couple Google searches, you'll kind of see what a poppet valve is. It's a cylinder with several holes, and once the holes line up, then the oil can flow or the fluid can flow through those holes. So essentially, when the poppet valve lines up and we need to close the butterfly valve, that oil comes down, gets rerouted into the wastegate actuator, which closes the butterfly valve. Because remember, that butterfly valve is actually spring-loaded open, so we're using positive oil pressure to close the butterfly valve.
Let's look at that again in the reverse configuration. If we have engine oil coming through the engine oil pump up to the absolute pressure controller, what will happen is the oil will then be routed straight back to the engine oil return, bypassing the wastegate actuator, into the sump, back into the pump, allowing the spring in the wastegate actuator to move in this diagram to the left, opening the butterfly valve, allowing maximum airflow to pass through the wastegate control, creating minimum turbine pressure and expelling out the exhaust of the engine. So now that we have talked about the flow of oil in relation to the wastegate actuator, let's talk about the brain of the absolute pressure controller. The absolute pressure controller can be comprised of a series of bellows filled with air, or in the Lycoming case, nitrogen. Why do we use nitrogen? Because it will actually sense the difference in temperature as well. We can calibrate the bellows to allow a certain amount of pressure to pass through the upper deck. The APC, absolute pressure controller, is calibrated to allow just the optimum amount of dense air to pass through and into the turbocharger. So let's recap what we've learned.
You could almost think of the APC as like a barometric altimeter in certain aspects. I mean, it's a confined bellows with nitrogen, and it's literally reacting to the pressure from the upper deck. So it's it's almost springing in spring in motion. It's like opening. If I'm running this wide open here, the pressure is going to decrease, which is going to allow the APC to increase its size, which would then send the oil, or it would then move the poppet valve in the direction that it needs to move the poppet valve to send oil, in this case, back to the wastegate, closing the butterfly valve, giving us more power to run wide open. That would be considered the wide open configuration. Whereas when you come to idle, now we're getting a lot of excess pressure in the upper deck. So what's that going to do? It's going to compress the APC, which is going to move the poppet valve to reroute the oil to bypass the actuator, go back to the sump, and then that spring is going to go ahead and push back and open the butterfly valve, allowing us to come to idle and despool the turbocharger. So it's a really fascinating.
Induction air.
We'll watch the end cap of that here. We only got 2 minutes on it, but let's go ahead and start down. We're 8 minutes out, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set 2,500 feet, turn on our panel lights. I'm going to turn off, I'm going to go attitude hold mode. I'm going to try my fancy new pitch hold reference from Team Vodka. That looks good. We're nosing over. And I've been bringing power back here slightly. I'm going to go ahead and bring back 2 more inches. We're going to come back to about 28 inches. I've been bringing power back sneakily there during the video. I'm going to increase the autopilot pitch reference down even more. Excess of 1,000 feet. We're only 7 minutes out. We need to be doing more than 1,000 feet per minute right now, but we'll see what she can give us. Down we go. Vaughn, I'm glad you like it, man. K6, what's up, dude? Auto turbochargers mostly have electronic wastegate style. I wonder how long it would take for the FAA to approve that. I mean, it'd be crazy. I mean, it's crazy to think that these systems were designed, without computers. That's what's really crazy to me. I mean, you got engineers and mechanics back there designing this stuff with pencils and erasers and slide rules. So it's really cool when you think about it that way. Like, man, how do they do that? They're great systems. I mean, they work well. We'll continue to push it over here. Increase our speed a little bit. Let's come back. 26. As we descend, I'm going to go ahead and creep that extra in just a tad. You hear that? You hear that? That's that turbo. That turbocharger in there. All right, we're descending down. This is beautiful. Hopefully we make it in time. Let's see. I think I have like 2 minutes here on this. And we'll finish this up, and then we can discuss it on the rest of our second leg. A second leg is it's going to be a real quick leg. It's only 40 miles. Oh, that's the wrong one. Where'd it go?
It's going to pass out the exhaust. It's going to determine if it's going to go from the wastegate or out the turbine.
I mean, I can explain it better than this guy right now. So essentially, just to recap everything the same way that I'm doing here with this diagram we've all been looking at. Air's got 2 ways to flow. Run it in through the lower deck. If you're at an idle power setting, it's going to mostly be routed out the wastegate butterfly and overboard. If we're at a moderate or higher power setting, this wastegate valve is going to be in an intermediate or closed position. If we're full wide open, that air is going to be rerouted up to the turbine. It's connected to the compressor, bringing in that ambient air, compressing that air into the upper deck. All while this is happening, every time you move that throttle lever, you're changing the pressure in the upper deck. Every time you change the pressure in the upper deck, the APC, or absolute pressure controller, is changing. While that's changing, that is moving the poppet valve. The poppet valve is a cylinder with multiple holes or passageways, and once they line up in the way either full open or wide open, it will route the oil to either increase wastegate actuation, or close it, or to decrease it and let it come full open at a low power setting. All the meanwhile, the air is doing its thing up here, comes through the throttle butterfly valve, this is where we directly control the power. Now, if you have an overboost situation, we do have an overboost control valve to help prevent damage to the aircraft. The aircraft or the engines we measure the manifold pressure just downstream of the butterfly valve. So that's where we get our manifold pressure gauge. That's what we're looking at in the cockpit. That nice dense air is routed into the engine. It's condensed with atomized fuel, ignited, and then the cycle repeats itself. So it's simple in a way, but it's actually very complex when you think about how everything is moving at the same time. Like I can sit here and tell you what the air does, but at the same time what the air is doing, the APC is moving. The same time the APC is moving, the poppet valve is moving. The same time the poppet valve is moving, the oil is moving. The oil is either moving the wastegate actuator closed or open. While that's happening, the butterfly valve is also moving. We're also changing the speed at which the engine oil pumps are running. Like there's so much happening here at one time. It's pretty incredible. But when you can understand what the air is doing, just focus on the air itself, and you're like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty simple. So it's fascinating. I love turbochargers. I love superchargers. Turbochargers, we use the exhaust air, right, to compress. The supercharger, you actually use the engine-driven power. So you can have the debate: what's better, a supercharger or a turbocharger, etc. But all right, we're setting up for our approach. Let's go ahead and fly this thing here. Ooh, sounds are coming up. Yeah, I'm still a CFI, man. I don't actively teach, though, but I always kept my stuff active. We're going to be way too high on this. I'm going to go ahead and disengage the autopiloto here. Hopefully we're cooled enough. Yeah, I think we're close enough to stage cooled. So the airport is actually down here. Or it might be up here, actually. We're going to land on runway 18. 8 miles out. Let's do a magic barrel ref update. Increase that mixture a little bit. Cowl flaps, make sure they are fully closed. Give it an extra 3 seconds here. Make sure they are indeed closed. We should run our pressurization down here a little bit. Bring it back down to 1,000. Start depressurizing. There we go. Cabin's coming down. Actually, I think the runway is going to be just past here. This is a fun little airport.
Traffic, November 200, Echo Romeo. We're currently 5 miles to the south for runway 18, Garberville.
Garberville, November 357, Bravo Sierra, 6 miles south inbound for runway 18. We'll follow traffic, Garberville. Unless he's in front of us. Oh yeah, I see him. Yeah, I see you. I'm just above you and behind you. I'll slow it up. Let's come back to about 20.
We'll keep the speed up.
All right, we'll do a little bit of an S-turn. So there's our traffic. We'll do an S-turn to the left here. I'm actually going to level here a minute. Bring that speed back. Now, what's nice about the Duke, 174, you could drop the gear. And first notch of flaps. We're starting to get a little turbulence here as we go into these mountains. What is this video we're looking at? V1 CFI days? I actually made that video for my Piston series, man, 5 years ago. Old video. I don't know who the Echo Romeo is. All right, there's 174. Let's do something a little bit of exciting here. Let's go ahead and let's hang the gear. Help us slow down here. I'm going to level off because we can't just chop and drop it. Below 174, gear's coming down. We'll go ahead and get our lights on. Now look at that speed coming back.
November 200, Echo Romeo. We're currently downwind, runway 18.
Wingnut, my man, thank you for the 10 memberships, dude. Wingnut, Fly Navy, all the above in the house with the 10 gifted memberships, man. I really appreciate the support. Hope you're having a good day, man. Hopefully you're at home, not working, hardly working hard. Appreciate you. 737 driver himself. Still got to fly that Boris sound pack. If you want to know the Boris Audio Works, the same guy who did the sounds to this Duke, he's making a 7.3 sound pack, and Wingnut did a stream with the sounds. You got to check it out. So head over to his channel. His channel is, what's the name? Full Flap Sim. Yeah, Full Flap Sim is his channel name. And
traffic, November 200, Echo Romeo, turning final, runway 18.
Make sure you take a look. I'm going to set OBS mode here. I'm going to scroll in 1.8 so I have a rough runway reference there, 18. So there's the traffic. He's turning final. We're going to extend here a little bit. Let's go ahead and get our approach flaps in. We're going to run up the mixture a little bit. We're going to run up the props a little bit, not quite full. So our SOP, we actually land with the props back a little bit on the on these engines. You could run them full forward if you want. That's not going to hurt anything, but for noise and just wear, unless we were doing an instrument approach, if it was a visual approach, we landed with the props aft or at their descent setting. Just under blue line here, about 100 knots.
Garberville 646 Alpha Whiskey, number 3 for 18.
Oh, number 3 for 18. I'm Team Vodka. I sound super hardcore. All right, we'll go full flaps. Full flap sim engaged.
Couple with traffic to number 200 for Romeo, vacating 18.
Nice and draggy here. We're going to float it in. Keep pitching for 100. Don't round it out yet. Don't round it out yet. Round it out. Wow! It's my Duke. Be nice to my Duke. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Garberville. A little bit ugly on the approach there, but we got her down. We got distracted watching some fake pilot do a turbocharger stream. I still have that nose wheel issue. Gosh, I'm half tempted to just reload. Hear the turbo spool? I might have to do a quick reload. Well, we might just end it here. Gosh, come on, baby. My rudder pedals are slipping on the floor now. That's not good. Yeah, I can't turn. That's such a pain in the butt.
Here. Garberville traffic, 5 Pop Delta, turning final for runway 18, number 2, Garberville.
Alright, 646 Alpha Whiskey, we're clear. Runway's clear for you.
Got nothing.
Yeah, I'm using the differential thrust, but it's got that nose wheel. I got a nose wheel steering bug. I think that's just part of the sim, unfortunately. All right, let's go ahead and clean it up. We're on the taxiway. We'll go here. Let's go ahead and dump the cabin. Cabin's already depressurized. We'll open the window, help it out. We'll get rid of the landing light. We'll keep the taxi light on. Wing light come off. We got to pick up a passenger here. My grass. Yeah, differential thrust only does so much. I mean, it definitely helps, trust me, but combine the fact that my rudder pedals slide on the floor plus the fact that it's got to be something with 2024 because I have the same bug in remember in career mode, you see here how the nose wheel's not moving? Look at this guy smashing it. Oh! Oh! You alright? That looked like a smasher. Sim update 1 beta is live for 24. What do you mean? Is there an update? I'm gonna position myself down here by the hold short, y'all, and then I'm gonna get my passenger. We're gonna do a quick flight because we gotta try to get to Eureka before it gets dark. Nose wheel's definitely bugged, unfortunately, but we'll make do with it. Mika, you had it, but in the 380? Yeah, it's definitely a bug in the sim. I've had it with multiple airplanes.
Garberville traffic, 175 Pop Delta, clear the runway.
You got all your gear with you?
Oh yeah, it was a greaser on my screen.
That's what they all say. I know we're not supposed to cross the hold short line.
I think the trees are a little taller in 2020, so that'd be kind of a steep approach to stay clear of them.
Oh yeah, that I believe. I don't think anybody else is on final. So we're going to line up on the runway here, and we're going to take our passenger. Very tricky to feather the brakes. I might have to adjust my curve, make a specific brake. Come on, baby. Don't want to eat up too much runway. That's fine. That'll work. We can straighten it out from there. All right, let's go ahead and stabilize. We'll go ahead and set the brakes. We're going to just hot load on this one here. So we'll maintain 1,000. Mixtures down. Let's reset because we don't want to bang up our airplane here. Everything looks good. Oh, I made a mistake. Made an oopsie. That should have been off for landing there on that. All right, let's bring out our payload. You can see we've sucked down almost 25 gallons of fuel there. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and add. We've picked up 2 extra folks, and I think Wingnut is sitting right seat, so we'll go ahead and throw him up there in the right seat as well. So we got a fully loaded bird now, 4275, just enough fuel to head over to Eureka.
Don't let Wingnut do the rotation.
Wait, what's that? Say again?
Don't let Wingnut do the rotation.
Yeah. We won't do a wingnut rotation on this one here. I heard you tail struck the 320 as well. So I got wingnut in the FO seat. We're good to go. And 1,000 RPM, blowers off. We are going to use flaps for this one. Let's reset our pitch trim here. I'm going to run this back into the green. I'm still finding the sweet spot. I don't want to get too far aft on it. That forward CG on our first takeoff was a little too much. I had to really kind of pull it off. I'm going to go with a little more aft on this one. But we're all ready to go. Garberville traffic, 357 Bravo Sierra, departing runway 18. We'll be out north departure at Garberville. All right, hold the brakes. Brakes are released. We're going to go boost pumps on, full rich. No need to do another run up. Let's go ahead and close this. And there's also something very important. You will depressurize. Let's go ahead and close the dump switch. We're not going to be pressurizing though. This is a really quick flight, so we'll just leave it at cruise altitude of like sea level. All right, so here we go. Spin them up. Remember, it's almost like a 3-stage. So there's the turbo spooling. Are my brakes set? Hold up. What's going on here? All right, power's set. Airspeed alive. Yeah, I like that better. Right through 80 knots, positive rate, gear up. Much better on the trim. We also have a pretty aft CG, but I think that's going to be a little bit better for the trim setting. It'll be a quick flight. We're just going to set 5.5. We're upwind, lower that nose, pitch for blue line. And flaps are coming up.
Bravo, Charlie 200, I'm yet to flying.
Got Toasty in here. Get the blower on.
Traffic, Duke 5 Papa Delta, departing 18, home traffic ahead.
Let's make a left downwind departure just because it's going to be more juice.
646 South Whiskey, I departed.
Let's proceed direct to direct to Eureka Airport. I know it says a right turn. We're going to make a left turn. We're going to cross over midfield. Man, look at the power though. Still pitching for blue line. We can let's bring it back now. 38. $29. Just a crack on the mixtures. There we go. Now pitch for that blue line. Midfield crossing. Midfield, what do they call that? Midfield departure? Midfield downwind? I forget all these GA calls. What do you think of that airport, though, Vodka? Pretty good? Pretty sweet little approach in there. I kind of botched mine up, but it's a pretty sweet little airport. Garberville traffic, 357 Bravo Sierra overhead, midfield, 3,700, direct Eureka, last call Garberville. Will redirect us, direct enter. New course is 328, spin it around. Close enough for government work, 1,000 feet to level off. Cylinder head temps are way hot, way hot. That's that hot turnaround down there. Cow flaps are coming full open. I'm also going to bring some power off right now. I'm going to bring power off early because our cylinder head temps are getting way too hot for my comfortable liking. Bring back to 32 inches. 328 on the track, right about there. Need an intercept heading. I need to remember where the, oh yeah, it's this panel. Dim. White flood, there we go. Now we'll dim the red. Ooh, red light. Oh, that looks so good. Here comes 5,500 feet. Level it off. It's going to help the engines cool down too. I got to do some engine management here, so I'm going to engage the autopilot rather quickly. Heading, altitude, hold. We are in nav, so nav out, hold, 5,500. Bring the props back a little more. Let's bring the power back too. Let's come straight to 30 inches. 30. 25. Sync them up. We got to get these temps down. We also need to go full open here. Press and hold. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,005, 1,006, 1,007, 1,000. They should be close to fully open now. I don't know if our autopilot altitude hold actually took. Let's go into attitude mode here real quick. Increase pitch ref. 5,500 is set. We should go into capture mode. You can see now cylinder head temps are coming down. We're still in the green, but definitely got a little bit too spicy. I'm going to leave the mixtures at where they are right now. I don't want to lean them out just yet. Got to take care of these engines. They will fail on you. Also get the fuel boost pumps off and cruise. Get rid of taxi, landing lights, and the wing lights. Down to 76 degrees. It's looking good right now. We'll just leave the pressurization as is. I'm trying to see my lighting. Oh, so we can go straight white lights? Ooh, I like straight white right now. Straight white looks pretty good. Red for when it's full dark. Altitude hold didn't catch. It caught now, I think. Yeah, I think I was just engaged it kind of funkily there. Let's pull out our EFB, take a look at our engines here. You can see they're running hot. Not damaged, but they are running hot, so. Check my EGTs here real quick. Yep, they're coming down though. Alright. Now that they're in the green, let's juice it up and get to Eureka. So powering up, we go opposite direction, we go mixture prop. And we're going to go ahead and juice it up 34. Friday power, baby. Friday power. Let's call it 35. cow flaps are slowing us down too, just a little bit. Let's go ahead and close them half. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000. They should be about half. Let's take a look. Let's cheat mode. A little bit more than half. They're still open. They're cracked. All right, we're looking good. All right. Texting the wife. She wants to see if I want anything from the boba tea. Nope. Had a latte. All right. We're back at it. Sims are coming back down. Temperatures are under control. Let's go ahead and lean it out here for this power. There it goes, there it goes. Increase ITT, 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 and get it back in there rich. I'm going to run it a little bit more rich on this one just because, there we go. About 100 rich of peak. Cool, 8 minutes out. Eureka. This is where I used to fly freight all the time. This is one of my stops. I love this airport. All right. So there is an official update to the sim, huh? Is there a changelog anywhere I can read? Well, let me show you my favorite part of this livery. Forgot about that. Let's sit back and relax. Where's my table? There we go. What you know about that, Wingnut? You don't have that in your T6 Texan. I need to buy a Duke. Who wants to buy a Duke with me? How much is a Piston Duke? Probably way more than I can afford. Let's go halfsies on a Piston Duke. Let's go Wingnut, Team Vodka, and I. We'll split it 3 ways. I think I'd rather have a Piston Duke than a Vision Jet. I think I would definitely have a. I think I'd rather have a Piston Duke than a Vision Jet. C90 and I'm in. Mickey G, how about a Turbine Duke? It's a C90 on steroids. It's so powerful the wings fall off. The Turbine Duke actually has a slower VNE because of the structural limitation of the PT6s. So it's got so much power that it's actually slower because they don't want you to rip the wings off with torque. Anything is greater than a Vision Jet. To be fair, the release of 24 is very much beta. Why not update Sim Update 1 beta? I might try. I didn't know it was a beta. I still want to see where this Sim Update 1 beta changelog is. You guys talking about betas. I bet your Blue Hour doesn't look like this. This Blue Hour is hot. I actually like the regular B60 Duke too without the winglets. The only reason I'm not flying is because this livery doesn't work on that. It's kind of bugged out. Why don't want to Duke up maintenance-wise? It's very difficult to keep going. I bet it is. Fun fact, piston to turbine conversion kind of sucks because they have to put a VNE at the beginning of the yellow arc on the piston. The Piper jet prop and turbo bonanzas are the same way. Really? So, no turbine conversions then. All right. C90 it is. C90 it is. There's actually, how did I do that view? That was a 310 view. I can't quite do it in the Duke. I can kind of do it. There we go, look at that. So Fortuna VOR is just up here, I think. And Eureka, always fun flying in here. So Eureka, where we're going is here. Arcata is just to the north. And Arcata had one of the very first ILSs for practice, for like certification. And the ILS is an extremely long, drawn-out ILS. Like the range on it is, I can't remember what it is, but it's abnormal compared to a standard ILS. So when you fly it, I mean, you can join it way out. It's a real shallow descent. At least it used to be. I don't know if they've changed it. But what we would do, flying freight up here, is we would shoot the ILS, if it was fogged in, we'd shoot the ILS to Arcata. And then once we had ground contact, we're VFR, we'd break off, fly VFR, follow the coastline, and then pick up Eureka and land. So I remember one time I did it. There was only one time I broke off and I lost complete. I lost it. Had to climb back up, re-get another clearance, and then just I landed. No, there's nobody with me. Land back at Arcata. But that was our procedure. That was part of our flying freight, man. Shoot the ILS. Oh, you see the ground, break off, go VFR. You'll find it. It's a 30-mile ILS, pretty much, AJ. Yeah, for Zippy. Matter of fact, let me see if I can't pull it up here real quick on Sky Vector. I'm not going to pull up the other charts. ACV. I want to say it was like the first ILS. Redwood, Humboldt. They've changed the name. Charts. I'm looking at the chart here. ILS 32. So it's 10, 20 miles out is the initial. I guess it's not that abnormal, but I know there's something special about that Arcata ILS. Cessna 414 flew over my house and hit that thing. Was loud. Like an angry mosquito. Nice. Oh, we got to beat it. All right, actually, I can see the airport. So let's go ahead and let's get flight recorder on. I have no idea how this airplane is going to handle flight recorder. We're going to try it. So I'm going to go ahead and disengage the autopilot. We're going to start bringing the power back. Get flight recorder ready. Way too tight in here at 10 miles for this, but let me see what the winds are doing. Info, runways, unknown, 9 knot tailwind on 12 or 30. Let's do it. Let's fly over it. Let's do a overflight. It's either going to be 12 or 30. I normally land at 30. Let's go OBS, set course 300 for reference. That's good. As we're descending down, run that mixture in. Props are good where they are. I can't remember what it was, but it was like if you never went above X amount of manifold, you didn't have to restage cool. I don't think we did. We were cruising at 30 something. I want to actually try to get down in time. Cylinder heads are 150, so let's just go ahead and bring it back. I'll have to look up what the number was. I have to. There was 3 or 4 different ways to be considered stage cooled. It was a cylinder head temp. It was an airspeed. It was something else. I can't remember. Oh my gosh, that looks awesome. We'll do an overflight and then we'll set up for left traffic. We'll make sure we can land on 12. Eureka traffic 357 Bravo Sierra. Turn on an extended final, runway 30. We're going to overfly 30 and enter a right traffic for runway 30. Arcata. Correction, Eureka. All right, lights are coming on.
Traffic 646 Alpha Whiskey, straight in 3 miles, 30.
All right, so you straight in. That's cool. We're way too fast to make this work, so we're just going to do a high-speed pass here. Absolute juice view, though, isn't it? Look at this. It's incredible.
All right, traffic. 1170 Echo Army, flying up ahead, so I head for
GoPro view. That is stunning. We might have to get out and walk around and look for any live animals out here. I guess that's what's pretty cool about this sim is if you start landing these backcountry airports, you really should do an overfly of the field and make sure there's no animals on the runway, right? do this low level. Magic Bale ref update. We'll do a 200-foot pass here. Should I start the recording? I'm going to record this all the way in. We'll start the recording here at the overpass or overfly. Those trees aren't there in real life. They're trimmed out on the approach end. Runway looks clear. Windsock is showing pretty much calm winds. All right. Oh, that looks awesome. Those towers are actually there too in real life. That is so cool. All right. Eureka traffic, 357 Bravo Sierra upwind 30. All right, we'll spin it around. Finally got our speed coming back. Should be about 120 here in the pattern. Enjoying the downwind here. Try to maintain about 120 knots. Mixture props, throttles are set for now. We're visual, so we're gonna land with them back at 27. Climb up to 1,000 feet here.
All right, traffic. And then 200 Echo Romeo downwind runway 30.
Is he right on my 6?
Duke 5 Papa Delta. We're over the field at 2,000 feet. We're going to enter right downwind, then we'll follow traffic.
Everyone came in too high and fast. Snuck up on us. Eureka traffic, 357 Bravo Sierra, downwind 30. All right. Bring that power off, trim it out here a little bit fast, more power. Gosh, I can't, it's incredible how much power this airplane has. You hear that spooling? You hear that spooling down? Let me turn the sim up more. But I heard it there. That's that wastegate's opening up, that turbo spooling down. Right there, here.
Eureka traffic, November 200 Echo Romeo turning base, runway 30.
Where's this guy on base at? I don't see this guy.
Traffic, 6% Southwest, you were clear of 30 off the active. Eureka traffic, 5 Papa Delta, turning right across the downwind runway 30, number 3, Eureka.
Anybody see this guy? I don't see him. So I'm going to do what every $1,000 hamburger pilot does. I'm just going to turn base anyway. Let's go ahead and gear down. Eureka traffic, 357 Bravo Sierra, turning base 30.
Eureka traffic, November 200 Echo Romeo turning final runway 30.
He must be wide. He must be way out wide. Because I don't see him. Eureka traffic, 357 Bravo Sierra on final 30, 2 miles. Watch him be like right on top of me. I don't have no idea where he's at.
Eureka traffic, 5 Papa Delta, right downwind 30. Proceed to traffic site number 3, Eureka.
Yeah, I see a recogs down there. On the runway? I see someone on the runway. Well, let's go ahead. Full flap, sim, set. Mixtures, props, throttles, fuels are coming on. Oh, so he was on like a short approach. All right, we're set. Power's set. Engine temps look good. Ooh, is that wake turbulence? Surely that's not modeled. Surely wake turbulence as well. We got to do kind of a funky steep approach in here because the trees are in the way. I got a really cool GoPro of this approach in the Chieftain.
Eureka traffic, 5 Papa
We're going to chop and drop. Try not to smash here through these trees. There we go. Not very smooth. I gotta work on my... Whoa! Okay, maybe we don't do that in the Duke. Don't pull full aft yet. Gotta work on my Duke landings, for sure. Keep your speed up. Use differential brake. Drift, 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 drift. Drift, 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 drift. Drift, 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 drift. I can't make it. Oh, they're over there. That's right.
Eureka traffic, 5 Papa Delta, turn final 30.
Blowing the lawn there.
We're going to park in the grass. It's a beauty, Clark. I'm going to park over here. Don't mind me going through the grass here. I don't have nose wheel steering right now. Oh, look at the recogs of that guy landing. Look at that. That is really cool. All right, I'm fouling the heck out of my plugs here on the ground. We got those on. Mixtures are full. We got all our lights on. We're going to stop right here because we can't taxi anywhere. Let's dump the cabin. I didn't even depressurize it. Rip ears. Landed with the blower on. I'm way out of practice in this thing. No doubt about it. All right, that's all right. We'll get it sorted. I'll get better. I'm just glad everything worked today. I'm just super glad everything worked good today. So everything is good there. That's off. We're damped on the cabin. Let's go ahead and go generator 1, generator 2. Look at how it dims because now we're on battery. That's so cool. We'll get avionics master switch, inverter off. 1000 RPM is set. Cowl flaps are set to half, which we're going to leave them at half. Idle cutoff. Idle, forward, and battery switch. There's our pilot battery light. We'll open up the compartments. Look, you can see that now that we're stopped, look at the detail. You can see exactly where the pistons are. Now you can see it vapor locking. Look, so that red right there, that's the heat. That's the residual heat in the engines atomizing the fuel in the fuel lines. If this continues, you're going to get what's called a vapor locked engine. It's going to be very hard to start. You got to purge it. So you can see here as we sit, and this is only at an OAT of what, like 10? So imagine summertime when it's hot, this thing will vapor lock quickly, and that's realistic. You got to actually have to deal with vapor lock, and you know, starting these engines when it's hot is very challenging. So, but yeah, right here you can see the vapor lock. You could actually, yeah, so there's the vapor right there. Yeah, so it's getting close. Watch me just run. I'm gonna turn the starter. Watch the cylinders change. Isn't that cool? And these are your spark plugs. Watch this. And there's your magnetos, left and right mag. And you can see each cylinder change. Pretty cool. Mags off. Mags off. Oh my gosh, someone's right up my... All right, we're all good to go. Let's go ahead and save the battery juice. We'll hop out. We're down. We'll get our bags and get out of here. I'll show you where I used to park. We used to park over here. We need a Eureka airport. We used to have one in 2020, right, Vodka? Does it? I wonder if it works in 2024. Our custom one. Someone needs to remake this airport. Listen to that. Ooh, there's a lake. Is there any fish in it? Should we go over here? I'm going on my fishing walk. Like, there's a lake right here. We got to check. We got to check. One of these days, I'm going to get jumped by a bear. You know what they should model is... Never mind. Never mind. Continue on. Getting my cardio in. These hangars aren't this big. They're not really like this in real life here. Oh, wow. Is that the Fortuna VOR up there? I've always wondered what those towers were. Well, we got a little pine tree out here. Nope, I don't see anything. No salmon. Probably too shallow. Too shallow here. All right, cool. I love it. I freaking just listen. How do I turn off the pilot light? Just chilling. There's the airport beacon. There's a white. Should be a green. Look at that. Right on the airport beacon. Beautiful. All right. Let's go ahead and watch our replay. We'll disconnect from my Veo Premium. We'll go back to full screen cam. Oh, wait, hold on. Listen to this, too. Hear it ticking? That's really cool. Love that. I guess we should put the cones on. Yeah, look at that vapor in there now. Let's go here and chalk it. Covers. All right. Post-flight is completed. I think you're supposed to close cow flaps. I can't remember. Stuff doesn't crawl in there. Love it. All right. Replay time. Let's see how this does. Replay cam. Replay engaged. Oh, you know what? I'm probably damaging the heck out of my engines doing this. I wonder if it's going to damage them. There's our high speed. I almost don't want to turn it on because maybe it won't record damage this way. Oh, I can hear it popping. Yeah, I think I might have damaged my airplane. That popping is not a good sound. Can't drop the gear because it doesn't have battery juice. Right through the trees, like a glove. I gotta work on my flare in this thing. Not used to the sight picture. Almost had it. I mean, it wasn't the worst. Wasn't the best. Love the touchdown sound though. That's pretty realistic. And then I was like going full aft for max braking. Started to rotate. Oh man, yeah. Rip engines. I don't even want to do that again because my engines are gonna be toasted next time I get in the aircraft. Oh gosh. All right. Well, hope y'all enjoyed that stream. I had a lot of fun with that. Anytime we get to talk props and turbochargers, it's always fun for me. So make sure you hit the like button on the way out. I appreciate you. If you want to check that video again at full screen about turbocharger discussion, just go back on my channel under videos. It's going to be the engine run-up video of the Freight Dog Piston series. So I'm out of here. Hopefully my engines start the next time that I load up in this bird, because I'm not 100% confident that they will. I'm going to go ahead and turn the battery off so it's not dead. All right. I'm out of here. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'm V1. May or may not see you tomorrow. If I do, it may be one stream, and we might be back in the Duke because, let's face it, the Duke is where it's at. All right, y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. See you.